Hi, my name is Dr. Michael L. Johnson. I'm a board-certified chiropractic neurologist. I'm the author of this book, What Do You Do When the Medications Don't Work? A non-drug treatment of dizziness, migraine headaches, fibromyalgia, and other chronic conditions. I consult with over 1,000 doctors across the country, and you can see those doctors at www.lifechangingcare.com. Again, www.lifechangingcare.com. I'm here to speak to you today about ADD, ADHD. So what makes us different from every other doctor that you have seen? I'll tell you what makes us different. We treat your child metabolically and neurologically. That is the missing link with ADD, ADHD. So you're watching this DVD because someone you love is suffering with ADD, ADHD. And I'm here to tell you that no stone is left unturned. And you're going to see that when I go over everything that we do in our office. So no stone is left unturned to determine the exact cause of your child's ADD, ADHD. Here's the statistics, and they are staggering. The shocking facts about ADD, ADHD: attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, also known as attention deficit disorder. It affects approximately 6% of the population, while less than 2% receive treatment. Less than 2%. The rates of ADHD are no higher in the U.S. than in other countries. For example, in China it's 8.9%, Puerto Rico it's 9.5%, Japan is 7.7%, Germany reports 8.7%. Look at India, 29%. Wow. So out of 100 people with ADHD, 35 won't finish high school. 35%. These statistics are tied in directly to your child. 25 will repeat at least one grade. 1/4 of all these kids with ADD, ADHD will repeat at least one grade. 52% are abusing drugs or alcohol. And that to me is staggering. 40% have tried alcohol and tobacco at an early age. 19% are smoking cigarettes compared to 10% of the general population. 75% have interpersonal problems. They have problems reacting and interacting with others. 20 have set fires. When I read that, I'm like, whoa. You see all those wildfires out in California? Yeesh kababa. 30% have engaged in theft. 25% will be expelled from high school for misconduct. That's what you're looking at with your 6 or 8-year-old. Those are the statistics. Go look them up on the internet. That's where I got these numbers. Numerous studies show that approximately 50% of inmates have been found to have ADHD. People with ADHD have a higher percentage of motor vehicle accidents, speeding tickets, citations for driving without a license, suspended or revoked licenses, medical visits, and emergency room visits. Parents of ADHD children divorce 3 times more often than the general population. I'm going to tell you this right up front. If you and your spouse are divorced and you, after watching this, would like to become a patient or have your child become a patient in my office, you'd better be on the same page. And we're going to talk about that shortly. So I will guarantee you that no one has told you what I'm about to tell you. What I'm going to do is address why my program is unique and how I successfully treat ADD, ADHD. I'm talking about successfully treating patients. So what do? What makes us unique? Well, we treat both sides of the brain. We're going to talk about the brain a little bit. Some of this you may know, some of it you may not know. But we treat both sides of the brain, the right brain and the left brain. In order to fully understand ADD, ADHD, we must look at them in terms of hemispheres, sides of the brain. When we understand what each side normally does for a child, and that's what we're going to cover, when they are in balance, when they're integrated, we can understand what goes wrong when there is an imbalance, a functional disconnection. So here's the right hemisphere. The right brain is the brake pedal. It's the stop. It has to do with withdrawal responses. Stop movement, stop thought. Controls gross motor, posture, big movements. It likes low frequency stimulation. It's the where part of the brain. It's social learning, how to apply knowledge. This is a big one. You know, someone could tell you, I love you. But if they say it, I love you, you know, that's your right brain saying, man, maybe this person doesn't love me as much as they say they really do. When people have a right brain deficit, that social action isn't there. So it's social learning. It's nonlinear, creative, nonverbal communication, just what I mentioned. The face, the eyes, the body. It's stimulated by new stimuli. Has to do with reading and math comprehension and the sad brain. So the left hemisphere, the left brain, is the gas pedal. Approach responses. It initiates movement. It initiates thought. It controls fine motor movements. It likes high frequency stimulation. It's the what part of the brain. Has to do with memorization. It's very linear. You know, you've heard of linear left brain people. Always thinking, analyzing. It has to do with verbal fluency. It likes routines. It likes sameness. You know, a lot of autistic kids, same routine. And it's the happy brain. If you have decreased firing of your left brain, you are depressed. So what's the brain out of balance? And maybe you can relate to your child. It loves TV, videos, computer games. If your child is on the computer all day and they have ADD, ADHD, you had better limit the amount of TV, video games, and computer time. It likes sameness. It likes routines, rituals. Often they have a great memory. Normal and often above average intelligence. You know, your child is smart. You know that. It's just their brain isn't working properly, and I'm going to show you why. They have poor social skills, poor verbal skills. They go into tantrums, poor emotional control. They're very self-directed. They're not very passive. They have a tendency to fidget or stay moving. They tend to fixate or perseverate, do the same thing over and over and over. That's perseveration. They often have sensory issues. Some of them have language delays. You know, the child didn't start speaking until they were 4 or 5 years old. And that's the right hemisphere is responsible for nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is the foundation of verbal communication. So that's understanding one's feelings, understanding facial expressions. That has to do with the amygdala deep in the brain, faces, body language. Without these basic pillars of communication, appropriate verbal communication is delayed. One method to encourage appropriate speaking in these children is to work on building the foundation, nonverbal communication. Why are there sensory problems? Sensory problems most often are not a problem with a particular sense. Often the problem is in the frontal lobes, front part of the brain. It's who you are. It's your personality. And inappropriate withdrawal responses. So traditional treatment options are medications. Medications affect the brain globally. I'm not saying, and I would never say to you to take your child off medication. That's practicing medicine without a license. It's totally illegal on my part. But you know, if you decide this is something you want to do, and we work with your child and they're improving, you go back to your doctor and ask if the medication can be lowered or removed. These traditional treatments do not take into consideration the issue of hemispheric imbalance. So medication affects the brain globally. It doesn't affect the left brain or the right brain. Do you understand what I'm saying with that? So which side of the brain will need more help? Which one? That's why you want to run the tests. I will tell you, usually, not in all cases, usually ADD, ADHD is a right brain deficit, a decreased firing of the right brain. What specific areas of that side? Is it the parietal lobe, the temporal lobe, frontal lobe, cerebellum? What is the metabolic capacity? And we have a term that we use in chiropractic neurology called exceeding metabolic capacity. You've overstimulated